didn't recognize you guys. Yeah, this is what I look like without a baseball hat on.
I still recognize it.
For once, I'm not the last one, which is good. Okay, I'm finally there.
All set.
You all set?
I am ready when you are.
All set.
I was the slow one, and Mike's set. Okay, welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for March 4, I'm sorry. We started at 4 o'clock. We've been doing this for 2 hours already, so excuse me if I screw up. We remind everybody that we're video recording this, and we take a moment at the beginning of our meetings to appreciate our troops serving around the world. Thank you for that. Our first appointment is with the police chief to request the promotion of Officer Francis Thies to sergeant and to request that Wayne Salali be appointed as a special police officer.
I always get to give the good news, so I thought I'd let the deputy do it.
Chief, you just have to use the microphone. So that all those crowds at home can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. I just wanted to say, I usually get to come up here and give this good news, but I thought it would be nice if the deputy did tonight, so.
Thanks for coming, Barry. Give us the good news.
Well, the good news is I'd like to first introduce Officer Frank Tiss, who those are unfamiliar with him. Frank, could you just move forward just a little bit? Stop. Stand up straight. If it's not readily apparent, we have a U.S. Marine sniper, scout sniper, in our ranks. He's an officer with a little over 3 years. He has shown leadership. He has stepped up and taken the armorer's position, the Union President position, not the most glamorous positions to have, but realizing they weren't, he stood up and he took them. On behalf of Chief Corrett, I would like to respectfully ask that Officer Tiss be promoted to the position of sergeant.
Thank you. Gus, any questions, comments?
Sounds good. He's got good background. Service member. Sounds good to me.
Eileen?
I have no complaints. I'll give a little side story, because I actually met Officer Thiss. The other night I had to leave, Gus. You've never seen a select board member leave the table. It's because he was doing his job so well. He was checking on my house and finding out my car was blocking something at Starbucks. So I met him outside and we got the
guy. He was the guy.
He was very thorough. So I'm thrilled. I'm honor to be able to be here for you tonight and do this.
I've got no issues. We're glad to have you doing this, so thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So do we have a
All right, we'll
motion,
do the
ma'am?
official motion. Motion to approve the request for promotion of officer, you like Francis or Frank?
Whatever you want.
No, it's about you tonight.
Francis.
All right, Officer Francis Thies to sergeant.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, Sergeant.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for not arresting me.
Do you get pinned?
Yes. Pinning now Sergeant Tiss will be Sergeant Maxon with the Millis Police Department.
Can we ask a small favor?
Absolutely.
Can we?
Yes.
All right, so I know we look around the room tonight, there's some special guests here this evening. We've got some Boy Scouts here, and we would love to have you guys come join Sergeant Thies and be a part of the picture. I would love this.
Absolutely. Your 13-year-old's taller than you are.
Thank you guys for coming.
There we go. Get in tight, you guys. Hug it out.
What about the select board?
I know, all right, so I'm gonna. I think it's important. I love it.
Fluttering up the background.
Barry, how about you?
Okay.
Come on, all
Group
right?
89, yes?
Who's in charge here?
All right, smile, thank you. Excellent, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I have just two other items I'd like to present to the board. Based on the promotion of Sergeant Tiss, I would respectfully request that the board rescinds the provisional promotions of Sergeant Ledbetter and just Sergeant Ledbetter.
Do we have a motion to that
Motion?
effect?
All right. That one written? Okay, not, but I should be able to remember that one. Motion to approve the rescinding.
Rescinding the
provisional
provisional
promotions
appointments.
For
Sergeant,
Officer Ledbetter and Officer,
just Sergeant Ledbetter.
Oh, Sergeant
back-
Ledbetter,
Returning to the rank of officer.
return to the rank of officer,
Yes, that's it.
just one, okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And, last but not least, I respectfully request that the board considers appointing Sergeant Salali as a special police officer based on his retirement, good standing of over 17 years.
Excellent. Any issues, Gus, questions?
No, is he here? Or is he retired? I just
Oh,
don't
there
see
he is,
him.
back
Oh,
there.
there he is, okay.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to officially congratulate you,
I
on
know.
them, so.
Come on up and shake the hands,
Next
please.
steps.
You thought I was gonna sneak out.
I was actually coming here for Sergeant Tiss.
No, listen, hey, you wanna come around and shake the hand? Whoop. No, hey, thank you very much. Congratulations, we missed your service there.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that.
Thanks for all you've done for our town.
My pleasure.
I went to
Missed
your
his
course
retirement.
years ago.
Congratulations, thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Members of the board, I,
This is like Hotel California, you can go, but you can never leave.
that's right, no. Members of the board, I would be remiss in not mentioning that Sergeant Salali did take the promotional exam for, the civil service promotional exam for sergeant and did come in number 1.
That's awesome.
Based on his retirement, he declined the position, obviously.
Okay. So
That's all
motion,
I have.
Motion,
all right,
please.
so motion to approve, so is it officer or sergeant? How do you-
Sergeant.
Okay, Sergeant Salali to be appointed as a special police officer.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Barry. Okay, number 2 is public hearing, solicitor's license, Trinity Solar, Samuel Analyst.
Don't see him online.
I'm just gonna say, is he on?
Let's give it a minute.
He's someone that thinks we start at 7 and not 6?
Possible, it's possible. Why don't we put a hold, why don't we clear the room first? And then we can put a hold on that, we can come back to the hearing if necessary.
Okay, then our next item is Bob Janjigian, manager of Kingsbury Club and Spa, to discuss mobile beer taps at the Kingsbury Club. Recuse myself from this because I have prior representation issues.
No, just, yeah, just you need to do the podium.
Good evening. Are we waiting another minute? Are we good?
Yeah, I think we were just waiting for them to move along.
Okay. All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
So, tonight, we want to review the beer tops. I know, and Gus, you can chime in if I speak out of turn here with, but we know there was a liquor license granted for Ice House Restaurant. So we'd like to talk about the beer tops and what's happening there.
Okay. So, yeah, you had questions.
So, all right, so I can, I'll speak as a select board member as well as a member of your health club, which I very much enjoy. But as a select board member, I was approached that say, hey, Eileen, how did they get unmanned bear taps in there? And I went to Christine and said, I don't know. I remember granting a license for Kingsbury Club Ice House, but we were not privy to the installation that you have in the paddleball room and the pickleball area.
Correct. Yeah, so those are Pour My Beer Stations is the name of the company.
Yes.
And one of the things that appealed to us were the safeguards that they had. And our understanding was we have an all-club license, so we generally serve alcohol in all areas of the club. So I think I was trying to email some of the safeguards that we do have in place for the machines. We've got dedicated cameras on both with a live feed to the front desk so that they can, always have an eye on what's going on at the machines. The cards that are issued, they check the IDs first to make sure that the person's 21. And that card is only good for 32 ounces. At which time that card has to be brought up again to the front desk and activated again, and again checked to make sure that the person is of age. So there are multiple safeguards. There's always staff in that area. Again, we've got the cameras, and pretty much. Am I leaving out any safeguards on there?
No, that's pretty much it. It has a lot of control.
So do me a favor, and only because people at home can't hear you. Like, this mic doesn't magnify for you guys, but it magnifies for people who are
Yeah.
watching. That's the only reason it's important.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
So you won't be able to do karaoke, but people at home will hear you.
Oh,
I didn't want to leave out any safeguards. I think
Yeah, we have a designated area where we can assign cards that we know that there is always a manager or a person of age that has been trained that can sell alcohol. And that's at our main front desk, and that's the place where they can get those issued as well. Then within the system, like he suggested, it has limitations on how many servings that someone can, that can pour on a card before they have to go in and get it reset again. That's very similar to controlling, if in an example, in a bar, to make sure somebody doesn't get overserved. There is also, you can put into play validity session periods where you can say that this card would be valid for 1 hour, 12 hours, 24 hours. So there's many elements to kind of control that as best as we can to make sure that it stays under control. We've started off very conservative with this. And so far it's,
Can I ask you to define conservative?
well, in other words, making sure there's only one station for people to go to making sure that there are the ounces, the limits are at the lowest standard that we can have it.
Gus, do you have any questions?
I do. Let me start with what you just talked about. How many stations are there?
There are two.
And
Yeah, so
is
there's
that
one
like
in the-
2 taps, 2 locations?
So 2 machines, each has 6 taps. So there's one in the pickleball with 6 taps.
Okay.
And then there's one in the new platform tennis expansion with 6 taps.
This is like on the court, behind the, like, just-
The platform tennis is in the inside the building.
Yeah.
So that's in the new, what they call warming hut. The pickleball is right in the main area of the pickleball, so there's no,
but I guess, well, it's because I haven't been there, I apologize, but is
Yeah.
it on the court? Is there a separate room for it? How do you make sure people don't go crashing into your taps?
right. It's far enough against the wall in the back. It's in a social area where it's not near a court.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that
Yeah.
explains that. You said you can set validity periods. How does that act, how do you actually, I don't mean how technically do you do it, but as a policy or as an operating matter, how do you use these validity periods?
24 hours.
You said you could set validity periods from an hour to a couple of hours. I mean,
You can
how do
go
you
all the
use
way
them?
up to
No,
infinite.
I understand the technical feasibility. I'm saying as a practical matter, how does that playing out and how you're doing things at the club?
Right. Well, that way, if somebody is coming back, in theory, I guess it would be like if someone were to lose a card, you know, to safeguard against if someone were to find a card or something like that, that they couldn't use that.
Oh, okay, I was picturing that if somebody wanted a 2-hour party, you would have a validity period for cards of 2 hours, and after that, the cards are no good. That's not how that works.
There are different ways you could do it. We don't have it set up that way.
You're not doing,
No.
you have the ability, but you're not actually doing it.
Right. There's many different ways to operate the system, and I guess
Okay.
that's where I was kind of touching on the
How
conservative
long,
side
how
of
long
this.
have you been doing this?
I think it's about a month.
About a month, okay.
Yeah.
And so for a month's time, what problems, if any, have you had? And how did you handle them?
As far as customers go, none. It's more, making sure the kegs are working right and make sure that
So just up.
hardware issues.
I'm talking more about people at the club and their behavior, or
None.
none. Okay.
Yeah,
And,
they're limited to such an amount, especially if they're buying, if someone's, buying for a tennis partner or whatnot, there's a limit of 32 ounces, so it's very difficult, I think, to get in trouble with the card.
well, so are the cards associated with a particular person?
Yeah,
Yes.
well, yeah. So it's
If-
assigned.
So if I were in a foursome and I went up,
Oh,
can
no,
I
so you
buy
could-
4 beers for each one of my foursome with my card, or does
Yeah,
everybody
you
have to
could
have their own card?
you could get one for each of your playing partners.
Well, it would be 4 12-ounce pours or 4 pours up to 32 or 36 ounces?
32 ounces.
They're total, so before 8 ounce.
Right.
And then if one of my partners gave me their card, I could go up again and fill it, and it would look okay. Hey, I'm just trying to figure
Yeah.
out whether these
Yeah.
cards are photo ID kind of things, or if it's just their
They're-
cards.
They're
and they-
RFID cards, and when they get put in and assigned, the name gets assigned to them.
Okay,
And that also gets linked into our club
Okay,
software.
okay. So the card
if
has a
you went
name.
and purchase one, when we do it, we scan your driver's license. All
Okay.
your information would come up, and your name would be attached to that card.
Okay.
And then your profile is also in our software, in the
Okay.
club software. So those two are linked up.
okay. Is this just beer?
There is
It is-
wine as well.
Beer and wine?
Yeah, and non-alcoholic beer. as well.
So there's 6 taps, there's probably 1 non-alcoholic beer, 1 light beer, 1 regular beer, a red wine, a white wine, and a blush, or,
No reds.
no,
Other than that, you nailed it.
no reds.
Well,
IPAs.
they're at a
You have
different
against
they
reds?
keep that at a different temperature. So
Oh, okay, okay, so it's chill, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, got that. Let's see, let me work my way. I had a lot of them because I have no clue that this was happening, so, and I had an afternoon to be creative. These are permanent, this is not the sort of thing that you can roll, it's not like you'd roll this out for a party. This is like permanently attached to a wall, or?
Yeah,
is
it's
it
wired in.
transportable, I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah, it's wired in through
Wired.
the internet and the CO2 and,
So it's not movable? We'll get
No.
at, these are 2 fixed locations?
yes,
Okay.
correct.
I should have taken pictures for you. I didn't realize you had.
Yeah, I could have saved everybody a lot of time.
yeah.
That's all right.
When I had emailed some information and I
We got a picture
showed
here
some
for
of
you.
the locations
Oh, okay, good.
of all the units that they have
That's
around the
just fixed right
country.
there.
and
Okay,
I think there's
okay.
one right in Foxborough.
Okay.
at,
Yeah, I was just over at
That's
Crazy
okay.
Aces. They
yeah,
have it.
yeah,
What is-
Crazy Aces, that's right, yeah.
Now that I've seen the picture, what are the screens for?
That tells you it's basically a tap kegerator system, but those screens tell you what kind of beer they are.
You'll have a Coors Light
Okay,
logo.
so they can,
What the
they
cost
programmable,
is.
you can change them. Okay,
And when you pour it, it'll tell you exactly how much you've poured.
okay,
So it does it by so it's technically, we've been talking about ounces, but it does it by servings.
okay,
A serving size for a wine would be different than a.
okay.
Yeah.
Now you have a regular bar. What are the hours, what are the hours for this versus your regular bar?
This is noon, and we can set when it turns on. So it's offline until we set the time limit.
Okay.
Noon, and then it closes at 9:40.
Okay,
Whereas I think our bar, 11, I think is our 11 o'clock is our liquor license.
so those, and then you have cameras that show people doing that go to the front desk. And if I understood what you were saying, it was kind of like the front desk people sort of function like a bartender in the sense that they make sure people don't come in and buy too much beer. Now, some bartenders will assess the state of inebriation of the people buying the beer. The people at the front desk will do that as well.
Yeah.
Are they tip certified? What qualifications people at the front desk have to be bartenders?
Well, they're not really, I mean, they're monitoring each station to make sure whoever's going up to it, it looks appropriate. So as far as control.
Through the camera.
Through the camera.
While they're checking people into the club and doing all the other stuff that they do, though, right?
Yes. And, but the real controls are when you sell the card, obviously, because you're checking
You're gonna
IDs.
size them up.
And the controls around the card usage, the maximums, when it has to be.
How
So
have they
if you-
been
if you
trained,
pour
how have they
30
been trained to do that?
As far, that wasn't really the purpose of that. It was more to monitor. I think the training and the control, the self-controls of the card are the keys, which is, once you pour 32 ounces, you have to go back up and get it reactivated. So,
That's kind of like somebody going to a liquor store buying a 6-pack, though, and when you've drunk all the 6-pack, you got to go back to the liquor store to buy another 6-pack.
Do you mind if I ask a clarifying question? Because that's not how it was described to me. It was described to me that the card, so this is what was shared with me. Now, you can tell me as a member whether I got accurate information or not. It is, you have to be a member, so I can't come in off the street and try to get a card. True or false?
No, you could. Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Well, because I was told you had to be a member, so is that not true?
Not true.
Okay, all right, so that's not true. That the card was activated, it would only pour 30, I was told 36, so if it's 32, over a 24-hour period, that there was no reload, that if you had the ability to pour that quantity of alcohol over a 24-hour period, that was it.
Once you hit your 32 ounces, you have to, regardless of how long it takes you to get there, you have to go and get.
No, but if I just played pickleball tonight from 6 to 7:30, and I used my card, and at 8:15 my card was maxed out, could I go to the front desk over on the other side and have it reloaded and then go back and drink more?
Yes.
Okay, that's okay. That was not shared with me, because there's a concern factor, and I don't want to jump on. So there's been a lot of questions about the fact that section in the pickleball area is now becoming deemed to be more of a drinking area. I went to an event recently where the event was deemed a pickleball night, and I would say 80% of the people were there in their jeans. Now, I will say that night, you had a man bar, which was great. So the people that were there had no intention of playing. They just wanted to hang in, which is fine. But now, I just found out last weekend that someone happened to come in with the duffel bag, and because it's the drinking area, they had brought their own alcohol in, but grabbed one of your plastic cups and started pouring, so it wouldn't look so obvious. So there is a red flag where, again, people who are members know I'm a select board member, and they've approached me and said, Eileen, this is getting out of hand. Like, this, people are now just kind of seeing it as a drinking area, which is uncomfortable because it's not what you guys represent. You're a family health club that we don't want that distraction. And the parking lot, especially during that late October to right about now, is so dark at night. You know, I don't want to see a small child leaving the basketball area or the volleyball area or the pool have to worry about somebody leaving there being overserved by themselves, not by, you know, what Gus was asking about the tips training, is that we want to make sure anyone, even Jean, who does a lot of Bell Forge activities, her people have to be trained because there is a liability associated with alcohol. And we don't want any lives to be impacted. So I know that none of this is with that intent, but there is that concern. And so I'm not getting straight facts from when I was just asking as a member, thinking, okay, let's see how closely this is regulated. On top of, there's no education around those taps. And the one that bothers me more than anything is I love the warming hut, but that one against the back wall, if somebody wanted to go in there underage, because again, if it's just, like I have a card to get in this building, if it's just that card and my parents happen to be away and I'm 18 and it's sitting on the counter, unless you're really paying attention to that monitor, that 18-year-old is going to be able to get drinks. And if he's got a buddy who's home from college and can go and re-up a card, I mean, it's just,
Well, there are staff all around those areas. I mean, you could run into those same problems in a restaurant. If someone comes back to a table and the bartender who's on the other side of the restaurant is not paying attention, I mean, those are inherent, I think, with any alcohol business.
I get that, but your initial license was in a very controlled environment, being Ice House, right? So you have, so I know my friend here, I mean, you are very well structured there, and you're not asking people to roam around with beers, right? That it's beers, wine, whatever. It's in a confined area. And then on top of it, when you had the manned areas in the pickleball area, again, it was your portable bar, and there were people there to monitor it. It's just this unmonitored, because I don't see, there's so much distraction at between the tennis courts going on, when you have the leagues, people are coming and going, and if there's a monitor there, if they happen to have downtime, they can look. But they're trying to watch people come in, people are asking questions, people are changing schedules. There's a lot going on. And is there any notification when a tap is activated? Does something happen in the monitor so you now know, wait a minute, little light goes off, we should be paying attention? I just look at, as a member and as a resident of Medfield, I just don't want to see someone get hurt because someone's overserved innocently. But there are so many young kids and grandparents picking up kids from basketball that it's concerning. There's no doubt about it.
I think the prior concerns, because the talk about what has been going on around the pickleball area, that's news to me. We have not had any issues with alcohol with any of the tournaments. I don't know if you've heard
We
about
had a
anything.
big one this weekend, and it
Right.
wasn't, without going over our sales numbers, it wasn't anything outrageous by any stretch of the imagination.
So a request that I'd like to put out there is, first of all, there's no education by it. So people, there are no rules around the tap until you go to the front desk. And I think for people who are concerned about alcohol, I mean, there's no water available. You have to go to the front desk to get water, but you can get beer right there. I mean, these are discussions I've had with people who are members who aren't thrilled with it because they're seeing suddenly this push on alcohol versus a push on just having fitness opportunities and social gatherings in the right area. And I love, I'm doing my job right now as a select board member. I mean, I love what you've done with trying to make it social, but adding this layer of alcohol and not having it tightly monitored and not having the education on the walls to let people know what's going on, it's raising a lot of speculation. And I
could definitely understand that. And to tell you the truth, the purpose of the machines was convenience. You know, it wasn't because we've got our restaurant on the other side of the complex. So as a convenience, we offered it there. The sales to this point are not lighting it up as though that was the purpose of it. So the convenience factor was the big thing for us. And we haven't, I know it's only been a month, but we haven't encountered any issues. It's going to be a learning process to use the machines. And events, we've got more staff on during events. I think it was 300 people playing pickleball this past weekend, and no problems and plenty of staff. So I understand your concerns. I don't think it's quite as loose as I think some possible members are portraying it. So I don't know.
I don't know what else. I would just I'd reiterate what Bobby's saying. Is so far the amount of alcohol that's being distributed through those systems isn't by any stretch of the imagination a lot or out of control by any stretch. You touched on some other things, duffel bags outside, that kind of thing. That's certainly a concern. That we will address that. I don't know if that pertains to what we're discussing here tonight with the distribution or the water or anything like that. But as far as the functionality of these and the systems that we have in place, when we went in and we built the sports building, at that time we went in and expanded the liquor license, because we knew that that is part of the pickleball and the paddle experience. It's very social. It's a very social element to it, and people are going there and they play, and they may have a beverage once they're done. It is by no stretch of the imagination the softball league. It's quite not it's not at that level by any stretch.
So I think if I can just, I think this is a change to your existing alcohol permit. So I think you actually are going to need an alteration of premises for your permit, because your permit currently states that alcohol will be provided from the restaurant or the mobile bar. That's neither of these. So I think there is going to need to be a change to the premises. And if you looked at the other, because there's only 6 or 7 of these that have been permitted in the Commonwealth so far, they've all done an alteration of premises, including the one in Foxborough that just had to do this. So I
certainly do that.
I think that's the process we need to go through, rather than you setting any rules or regulations tonight. We need to go through the full process.
Yeah, I don't think, my intention isn't to certainly, I'm not smart enough yet this was news to me earlier today. I think
We're gonna have to go on a field trip first, I think.
Yeah, we probably have to. That's
I can give that a
probably
tour.
So I wasn't looking to change any rules. So I'm going to kind of wind up with 2 comments. First one starts with a question: is it just adults that play pickleball and paddleball?
Pretty much.
99%.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then I kind of understand the social side, if that's true. In some other contexts, like things with Saturday morning runs, we've turned people down that wanted to have a beer tent at the finish line, so when they crossed at 10 in the morning. And the reason we turned it down is this town is got, if not still, the highest percentage of residents under the age of 18. It's going to be in the top 10. So the decisions we make and the way that we sort of approve things and run things, there's definitely a serious consideration of what the model or what the example is that adults in this town are setting for younger people in this town in terms of what you're supposed to do. And I'll throw that out there as a health club that I know caters both to adults and kids. That's not just a question of the town's sentiment. I think that has to weigh heavily in how you think about how you conceive of your business. So that's comment 1. Comment 2, in a way, is, for our purposes here, a little more important. I recognize this apparently is a new technology, a new concept. I will say I'm personally disappointed that you didn't recognize it as that and come to us and say, here's the thing we want to do. We want to tell you about it. Our town government has a reputation of being a little hard on businesses, and at least since I've been on the Board of Selectmen and Select Board, one of the things I've tried to do is to have us not be hard on business just because we're kind of rigid thinkers, but that requires a certain kind of trust. and I don't feel like that came through here, and I have a hard time really getting my arms wrapped around the rate that, but this wasn't really any change. This was a change. This is a change. And I'll let that sit there. I don't need anything from you. I don't, it's just that I will tell you my reaction was, gosh, the businesses that we try to help be successful, there is a degree of trust that if something comes up that they think might be pushing the line, they'll come to us. And in return, they won't think that just we're going to be blockheaded jerks and say, oh, that's different, we're not doing it. We'll listen to it and try to figure out how to make it work. I think we'll try to find a way to make this work, but it sounds to me right now like there has to be some sort of constraints or rules or boundaries around what does or doesn't work. I'm not really confident that the monitoring of behavior is quite as foolproof as I think you might have tried to position it. On the other hand, if this isn't a part of the club that it's primarily adults, I kind of get it. Most people at the end of a game are going to want a beer. They're not going there for a 4-hour drinking binge after they go work out. And so I get that piece of it, but I think we have to kind of figure out how to draw a line here that lets you do what you're trying to do, but does it in a way that we're confident for safety reasons, for setting an example for younger people in town, for all those reasons.
No, duly noted, and I think they're all legitimate concerns, and we certainly didn't try to, put anything by anybody. Thought it was going to be a great convenience, and I know we've got a little homework to do, and we're prepared to do whatever you suggest. So,
Thanks.
So the only, my parting note, I'll discuss this parting note. My parting note will be really think about over communicating, right? You're not looking to have people bring outside alcohol in. People kid me, I bring this to pickleball all the time. They're like, well, Murph, you could have, so I could, absolutely could. But if you sent a note that said, any outside alcohol brought in, your membership is revoked, goodbye, see you later. They do it at the Patriots season tickets all the time, right? It has an action has a reaction. And if you're going to choose to put your liquor license in jeopardy, because if we find that people are doing that, that puts you guys in jeopardy, right? So, but there's no communication of that, right? I'm not hearing that you guys are trying to protect that. I get that. I went to the Port website today, and I'm a salesperson. I'm reading all the marketing and make money. I get it, and I get why you did it, but we just need to protect the people that are coming and going from your facility. And so I would just really ask that you think about how you can clearly communicate the program. Think about, and this is my catchphrase here, the crawl, walk, run. Think about how you might want to be monitoring those cards and not do the reload, because let's see how people are using it. It's new. We don't want people to abuse it. You guys have a stellar reputation, right? I love Kingsbury Club, so this is coming from a member. I don't want to see anything go away, but I also don't want to see a young child or an elderly person hurt because they think that they can walk out in that parking lot and everybody's on their toes. I was there. I was telling Christine this the other day. I was there not this Sunday, the Sunday before, and some guy was bent out of shape because he couldn't get a beer at 9:30 in the morning. And I'm like, dude, you can't drink it. You can't drink anywhere at 9:30 in the morning. So it's just the over communicating and really making sure the members are clear with what your expectations are. And as it gets warmer and people are outside using the new area, which is beautiful with the outside screen. I have a brother that lives on a golf course down the Cape, and I know where he leaves a cooler when people come by to tee off, right? So there's ways to access and bring in outside alcohol that I don't want to see even mildly encouraged, that it's cut off at the knees. You guys have it there for sale, it's there for sale, but it's not there for people to use your facilities as a entertainment place, but be bending the rules and potentially having a ugly result.
no, that's fair.
Okay. Any questions from the audience?
Should I come see you tomorrow
Just come
to
see
go over
Brittany.
this?
Yeah, you can come see Brittany and we can go over it. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Very welcome.
Give Pete back the chair.
Just come see Brittany.
Okay, sounds good. Awesome.
Okay, our next appointment is with Amy Colleran, Facilities Director, to request emergency repair funding totaling $67,371.93. Very specific.
Yes.
You're freaking me out this close. You're gonna have to move to the back. I'm not used to Bill
All
being
right, a few
this
Boy
close.
Scouts, see this gentleman? He's always in the back row in the middle with the microphone ready to go. He didn't get here early enough tonight. Somebody took his seats.
We like that you mix it up, but now I've gotta send it back.
Didn't want to get too close.
Thanks for coming, Amy.
Oh, thanks for having me. So I have 4 requests tonight. The first one is to replace some backflow preventers for several buildings. I talked to Christine earlier. The packet that you received had the correct proposals. The amount on the agenda is not correct. I don't know if you've reviewed that or if you saw through it. It looks like only a couple of them were put into the agenda, but there are some for the COA, Town Hall, and Library that were not included on the agenda, which totals $11,875.28. So each year, the state comes in and does inspections of these backflow preventers. What the backflow preventers does is it only allows water to go in one way, just keeps the flow one way. So we had a slew of backflow preventers that failed this year. Just the timing, I'm not sure. It was the beginning of February, they came through and had several fail. So I have pricing. I don't know if you guys have any questions on what you have in front of you for the.
You want to take them one at a time? Do you want?
Sure, no,
ask
absolutely.
questions
Well,
about backflow,
I
guys?
think in my case, I'm gonna broadly say, if you're coming to us and you say you have these emergency needs, I'm gonna not go through a full audit of the numbers.
Sure.
I did it last time, so when this was in last meeting's agenda.
Yes.
And I was having, some parts of it were easy for me to map the proposals onto the totals, and other ones, it was like, partly because the numbers were the same on multiple proposals.
Yes,
But
that's true,
if you're saying that the numbers you're giving us are the right numbers, I understand that certainly backflow preventers would be kind of an important thing not to let water go back into our
Yes,
system.
yeah,
That
it's
made
state
sense.
mandated,
So
so.
the
yeah.
only comment I have, and this is probably only editorial and probably not actionable, I got to the very end of the last Norrell contract, and there's a page that says terms and conditions. And so this is an editorial comment, because maybe this is just standard stuff. The very last paragraph about termination, and it basically says, customer agrees to pay all charges incurred for products and equipment installed and services performed, and in addition, pay an amount this is in case of a termination. In addition to paying for the work that was actually performed, an amount equal to 20% of the price of the products and equipment not yet delivered. So that says, well, if you terminate these guys, you have to pay them for everything you did, and then you're paying for 20% of the equipment on top of that. And it says, return all products and equipment delivered and pay a restocking fee of 20%, which, if I read it right, says, well, we're charging you 20% of the stuff we haven't installed yet, and then when you give it back to us, we're charging you another 20%. So basically, 40% of the cost of the equipment for anything that hasn't been installed is you're gonna pay us for anyway. And I just put down, really? So if that in fact is the terms, I will take your word for that's an industry standard, but I think that's highway robbery.
Yeah, yeah.
And I assume we have a good enough company that we don't anticipate will terminate them, because you might as well not.
Yeah, well,
almost.
Norrell does all of our service
Okay.
for all the fire and sprinkler work, so
You can
they're
tell
not
them
going
that I
anywhere.
think their terms are highway robbery.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the only other question I had, the very last thing, the suburban glass and mirror, that's all part of yours too, I think?
Yes,
or-
it is, yeah.
I was only curious because the proposal was dated August 15th, 2023, and the quote was only valid till September 17th, 2023. So that was confused. That's a 16,892. That's the
I think
last
that might be a
one.
mistake on their part. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm
So
not
this
sure
is the
why
current
it's,
proposal, it's just bad dates?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. That was the only other question I had.
Oh, okay, yeah. Anyone has any questions
Eileen,
about any
anything
of them?
from you?
No, I'm good.
No?
Okay.
Okay.
I was just I thought it was amusing that Glass and Mirror was doing, actually sounded like they were doing plasters.
They do it all.
Wallboard
Yes,
ceilings or
yep,
something,
they
but-
sort of do it all, yeah. They're a contractor on the state contractor list, so that's,
Okay.
so they
So do
they
you have
sort of
other-
expanded their scope of work, what they do, so.
Amy, do you have other things that you're going to go through for us, or is that all of it?
No, that was it, just
Okay.
the 4 items, but, yeah.
Do you want me to motion and read
I
each
would
one off?
I would
separate?
motion each one separately.
Okay, all right, so motion to approve facility director's request for emergency repairs, funding totaling $67,371.93. The items being backflow repairs at Medfield Library and Blake Middle School, $14,025. Replacement of sprinkler heads at Medfield Library, $27,302.93. Repairs at Park and Rec Center, $9,152. Chimney cap and masonry repair at the Medfield Library, $16,892. And if I heard you correctly, the COA Town Hall Library, there's a sum of $11,875.28.
That's correct, yep. So I think the total, I think I did it
I
out.
think the overall total is 78,355.28.
So, yeah, okay.
28 second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye.
All right,
Thank you, Amy.
thank you all.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Next item is 2024 town meeting and FY25 budget items. Chris?
So we're going to hold on reviewing the warrant articles this evening. You're going to start to review them at our meeting on the 19th. And we'll
Okay.
start with the citizens petition that evening at 6 o'clock.
Okay. Action items next. Board and committee appointments. Accept the resignation of John Thompson from the Dog Control Bylaw Committee. Shall we do that one first, Eileen?
Sure, bummer, I didn't know that, just saw him playing pickleball the other night, I want to find out what's happening. So motion to accept the resignation of John Thompson from the Dog Control Bylaw Committee.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye. Next, accept the resignation of Ann Thompson from the Board of Trustees of the Affordable Housing Trust as a full member and appoint her as an associate member.
I'm actually going to hold on that one. I have not received the official resignation.
That's what I thought.
We anticipated we'd have it just before the meeting, but she's not able to get it to us, so we'll put that on the 19th.
Okay, next one is vote to sign the local election warrant. Do we have a motion for that?
Are we good?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
A motion to sign the local election warrant.
Is
I
there
will-
a second?
I will second this, but I have an editorial comment that's just as I was reading it. I find it interesting. The wording of that warrant is telling people to show up on Election Day, and given all of the provisions that we have in our current election laws for early voting, I just find it, I'm not changing it, we're gonna sign it just the way it is, because that's what we're supposed to do. But in fact, our voting processes have changed to where people can vote. So the whole thing that we're ordering people to show up at the election booth on March 5th, sort
Was
of.
this for March 25th?
Or this is,
Isn't
I'm
this
sorry,
is March
this is
25th.
March 25th.
Yeah.
But my point is, it's still the same. That we're telling people to show up on Election Day when in fact, perhaps more than half of them don't, is sort of a historic anachronism, I guess, of the wording of our warrant. But second.
Thank you for the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have the vote to authorize the chair of the select board to sign an engagement letter for technical assistance sponsored by Massachusetts Housing Partnership to review the 40B application at 441 Main Street, right next door. Questions, Gus, comments?
No questions.
No, I'm good.
Eileen?
Can I motion?
Motion is
All right,
in order
motion
then.
to authorize the chair of the select board to sign an engagement letter for technical assistance sponsored by Massachusetts Housing Partnership to review the 40B application at 441 Main Street.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have a vote to authorize the town administrator to send a letter to Edward J. Collins Junior Center for Public Management to study the feasibility of joining or forming a regional emergency communication center with the town of Westwood and the town of Dover. Questions, Gus?
None.
Eileen?
All right, good. Ready to motion?
Motion, please.
All right, motion to authorize the town administrator to send a letter to the Edward J. Collins Junior Center for Public Management to study the feasibility of joining or forming a regional emergency communication center with the town of Westwood and the town of Dover.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is a vote to accept and authorize the town administrator to sign the Mass DOT grant for which we were awarded $62,883 for Type A vehicle bus for the Council on Aging.
I only had a minor question. I assume this is a completely conventional bus that looks just like we expect buses. It's not electric or anything, it's just a straightforward bus.
Straightforward bus.
Okay.
Eileen?
Quick, timing.
Non-diesel.
When the timing on this roughly?
I believe, we may actually already have it.
There we go, that's
Yeah.
quick.
Or it's ready to go.
All right, no worries. All right, so,
We just haven't paid the bill yet.
Yeah.
so now we have to build a garage. Motion?
Yes, please.
All right, motion to accept and authorize the town administrator to sign the MassDOT grant for which we were awarded $62,883 for a Type A vehicle, bus, for the Council on Aging.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, aye. Number 11, vote to accept and authorize the town administrator to sign the FY24 firefighter equipment grant for which we were awarded $19,000 to purchase ballistic vests and helmets for firefighters.
So
Gus?
my only question on that was whether, and Chief Carrico's not here, do firefighters need ballistic vests because things can crash down on them, or are we, is this actually equipment, is this just the equipment of making sure that public safety personnel are protected during times of public unrest from bullets and things like that?
Yes, depending, if there was a scene they had to respond to, that it would be required.
All right,
Works for me.
That
Motion.
was my question, too. That's a sad state.
it's a little sobering.
All right,
But-
so
Yeah.
motion to accept and authorize the town administrator to sign the FY24 firefighter equipment grant for which we were awarded $19,000 to purchase ballistic vests and helmets for firefighters.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye. Number 12, vote to sign a contract with Richmond Brothers Electric for electric work necessary for AED installation at Metacomet Park, McCarthy Park, Wheelock School, High School, Blake Middle School, and Memorial School. Questions?
None.
Eileen?
No, this is a follow-up from when the chief was in and he told us, so made sense when I read this.
Okay.
All right,
Motion,
motion
please.
to vote to sign a contract with Richard Brothers Electric for electric work necessary for AED installation at Metacomet Park, McCarthy Park, Wheelock School, the High School, Blake Middle School, and Memorial School.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, aye.
All right, Next one makes
Number
sense.
13, request to waive building permit fees for the AED project associated with installation at 6 sites.
All right, ready to motion?
Mhm.
All right, motion to request the waiving of the building permit fees for the AED project associated with installation at the 6 sites.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 14, vote to sign a letter of support for the Medfield Historical Society's grant application to upgrade archive cabinetry and install computer workstation at the Society building to prepare for digitizing records.
I just have one minor question. I got an email from Peggy Sue Worthison asking for a personal letter of support. I assume this is in
This is-
addition.
I forwarded it on to Christine to say, because I'm sure we all got it, right? So I know we never would do
Oh,
that
okay.
individually, so by doing this tonight, we can,
We can send one as a board.
I'm glad to hear that because I told Peggy Sue I'd try to get it to her over the weekend and I didn't. But that's a good
Then
thing
you're all set.
because we're
Yep.
all set. Okay.
we should ask her, okay, whose response did you like best? All right, are we good?
Yes.
All right. Motion to vote to sign the letter of support for the Medfield Historical Society's grant application to upgrade archive cabinetry and install computer workstations at the Society's building to prepare for digitizing records.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, aye.
Aye. And then the follow-up question, of course, is, and so who is writing the letter?
She put it,
She's giving us a draft.
Oh, she's going to give me.
She's
a
going to
draft.
give us a draft,
Well,
yep.
not only did I get off the hook, but we don't even have to write it.
Nope, we'll
no, she
take
put
care of
it in
it.
a Google Drive that we were.
Excellent. Okay.
Brittany's on top of it.
Great.
Citizen comment,
I have nothing registered for this
okay.
evening.
I
Consent,
would point out that when we get to the meeting minutes for December 15th, under the citizen comment, the comment in the minutes was made that Bill Massara was not present at that particular meeting. So for those of you who are here for maybe your first select board meeting, this person here has probably better participation in meetings than any of the three of us or anybody, to the point where it's noteworthy when he doesn't show up, we put it in the minutes. Otherwise, you can assume Bill Massaro is here for meetings.
And I'll give you guys, I was thinking of this as I was reading through this. when you get home, if you're curious as to how this whole thing comes together, if you go to the town website and you look up the select board, you can look at tonight's meeting and you're gonna see there's a link for Zoom, but then there's a link for info packet. So everything that we're reading and we're reviewing, oh, you have it? Okay, which is great. So there's nothing that we are looking at that the citizens and the residents of the town can't look at. And so when Gus reviews a contract and has questions, those are the same things that a citizen could be coming to us on, so.
We're not just doing this all at the top of our head. We've actually got stuff to read.
Did a
And,
lot of homework.
and if you've enjoyed it as much as I expect you have, you can actually go to Medfield TV and watch it again.
No, go to YouTube.
I think they actually had questions on the beer tabs, but I told them the whole
I had a question on like the water flow thing.
Oh, see?
So if you have a question, you
You
need
have to hold it for,
Mr.
no, citizen
Massaro's.
comment. This is the time to do it, citizen comment.
Yeah, we're not shy about that. We like getting questions.
What was the water flow thing about? What was the water flow thing about?
How would you describe a
So
backflow
the
preventer?
backflow preventer.
Yeah,
So,
that.
you know how you have your pipes, they come all through the town, they deliver water to your house? What if, like, say your dishwasher drain or something, with all that scuzzy water from the dirty dishes, what if that could drain back into the system? That wouldn't be a good thing, would it?
And then that would come out in your neighbor's
Yeah.
bathroom as they're brushing their teeth or something.
Yeah, that wouldn't work.
We wouldn't want that, so that's why everybody has a backflow preventer to prevent that stuff from going back into the town system.
So I would like to say something about the beer tap thing. I was like going off what you're saying when you're saying like being worried about people driving. So we have that same issue in my neighborhood where we don't know their age, but we have people speeding down. One time my mom had to call the police because they were throwing bottles, like glass bottles, out the window while it's still daylight while kids are playing outside. And it's just a concern because my little sibling could be hit with glass and maybe end up in the hospital. So I see the concern for that.
Thank you.
So just to comment on that, in terms of what people do, those things happen, and remember that when you get old enough to drive. Because sometimes when you're driving, not that you throw bottles at people, but sometimes you're going through a neighborhood and you're in a hurry and it's a 25-mile-an-hour zone and you're going 35 because you're in a rush. And remember what you see now when you grow up. That's the first point. And those kinds of things happen, but there's something I see of people who aren't driving that I'm astonished at how many adults walk on the right-hand side of the road. When I was a kid, it got drilled in. You always walk on the left-hand side of the road so you could see the cars coming. And sometimes there's more probably kids than adults will ride their bike on the left-hand side of the road, and that's just as bad because the bike is coming toward the car so fast that if you're a driver, you're not expecting to see something come that fast at you. So when you're on a wheeled vehicle, you're on the right-hand side of the road. When you're walking, you're on the left-hand side of the road. To include when you're running, unless you get to some of our roads that have a lot of turns and you actually want to be on the side that the drivers have the best shot of seeing you.
Another question?
Yes.
This is the best citizen comment we've had in a while.
Following up with what Owen was talking about, about like driving concerns. When I was like in 4th and 3rd grade, we were getting on the bus one time and there were like guys like speeding past us. They were going maybe like 50, 60 miles an hour or down there. We called the police and this happened on 2 separate occasions in that span of that school year. And then it happened again the next year. So I was concerned because like the bus, it was stopped at our house. Even like when they have the stop signs out, he just went right past it, almost hit the bus.
Yep.
And the lights were flashing and the stop sign was out, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really discouraging to hear. Nobody should be doing that past a stop
Also-
school bus.
Yeah. We live on Pine Street, so it's like because like the road can go like all into all these turns. And yeah, there's like one right when you're getting down towards the end of Pine Street, there's a really big turn. And they have a ditch down there. You can easily crash in that ditch.
Yep.
So yeah, it's very concerning for the driver and
So if you're
And
getting out of a
kids.
school bus, even though you know you're supposed to have everybody stop, don't ever trust that everybody stops for that very reason. You do have the right of way, but a pedestrian walking in front of a car because they have a right of way, it won't matter. The
Yeah.
car is gonna hurt the person, so
Or that
that's,
crosswalk on 109, always make sure you have eye contact, that the drivers are
Yeah,
stopped,
the-
they see you, you see them before you cross.
Yeah, there's a lot of distracted driving. That's the unfortunate part, right? You got people looking at their phones, you got people looking at things other than what's straight ahead of them. So you just use as an example of like the stop sign being out, you would think the average driver would know. You see the sign, you're trained, you stop, right? But in today's world, unfortunately, they're not. And then on a street like Pine Street, it's so windy and narrow, you've got to be that much more in tune as a driver, but even more importantly, as a pedestrian, right? Because you never know who's looking up or who's looking down. So, appreciate the questions, you guys.
Yeah, one more thing quickly. So she was just talking about like 109, how it's like pretty dangerous there. I remember I was getting back from Cumberland because I was with my friend. There's a girl, she was on her phone, and she was just crossing the street absentmindedly, and she almost got hit by a car. And I was like, why do you shouldn't be doing that.
Well, if the police chief was here, she would be nodding with you in stereo.
We should hold
All the time,
for
I
chief here.
Yeah, when I visit, like when I go around town, like sometimes I'll see like people on their phone just staring at it, and then they're just holding everybody up when it's a green light. It's annoying.
Yeah. All right, well, we thank the select board for taking all our questions tonight. Appreciate that very much, helping the boys with their merit badge.
it's all citizenship in the community.
Tonight was actually communications, but you're right.
Communications,
One of
okay.
the citizenship and community requirements is also a committee meeting, and you cannot double dip. You have to do a different meeting.
Plenty.
Yeah, we meet every 2 weeks. You have to come back for another meeting if it's a different merit badge.
warrant committee were good ones, like
I
I
Yep.
want juicy ones with lots of good topics and points of view.
Town meeting, May 6th, that's a juicy one.
I did mention town meeting, yes.
Yep, another question.
Oh, so is that the next meeting for town?
The
That'll be
next-
in May.
Yeah, the annual town meeting where we vote on a variety of things.
Budget, remember we talked about the budget vote being a big part of what everybody.
Any Eagle Scouts coming out of Troop 89 this spring?
We have one young man who got Eagle, and he's waiting for his ceremony. He's already passed his board review. Brandon. And we have a few that are just finishing up their
Oh,
requirements.
fantastic.
So
Okay.
we do have a couple more that I'm not sure if they're going to be ready for a spring ceremony, but maybe in the fall.
All right,
So, yep.
we like those.
Yep, we've
lot.
got 6th grade and 7th grade here, so we've got some of our earlier ranks tonight.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
By the way, we have a committee in town that deals with safety, if you're interested in committee service.
There you go.
The Dog Bylaw Committee, there's some pretty interesting committees.
Okay, our next is the consent agenda. We have gifts, accept and authorize expenditure from MFI for Hinckley Playground for $200,000, accept gifts and authorize expenditure from various donors to the Council on Aging totaling $200. Number 16 is sign request to advertise Medfield History Weekend from April 13 to 27, and at the usual locations at the Medfield State Hospital entrance to advertise the walking tour and at the open house sites. Number 17 is Bell Forge Arts Center to request a change in the rain date for the outdoor lantern parade on the core campus roads at the Medfield State Hospital from March 3rd, 5:30 to 7, to March 23 from 5:30 to 7:30. Questions, comments, or motion?
No questions.
Motion to accept the consent agenda items?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye. Meeting minutes. Are we set to accept those?
Yeah, I've approved them all.
We are, except the only question I have is on the first set of minutes, the December 5th minutes. We deferred those last week, and I had commented that they weren't exactly in good shape. It wasn't immediately obvious to me that very much was changed, but maybe some of it was changed. So I had a number of
saw yours.
questions on those, and most of them were all, I actually, when I went through the second time, I found more typos and things to change. there were a couple places where the wording, it wasn't always clear what the words were supposed to be. And there's one place, it appears in the minutes that we recorded that we approved the salt suppliers. We actually put it in the minutes twice, if I read it. I think we only did it once, but it's listed twice there. And there's a couple of other places where I put, not trying to change anything, but I put, some number of words in there to either elaborate.
Saw that, yeah.
So if you saw those and they look okay, I won't bore everybody with having to go through them to make sure. I'm happy to approve them as revised. It's just that some of those revisions are sort of discretionary.
I said to Brittany in my note to her that I read your notes, I
Yeah.
approved those, and I just made some other small edits,
Okay,
but
yeah.
nothing significant.
I think, Pete, you had some on those too, maybe.
Did I already make some there? I thought I was up to date on
Maybe it
all
was
of
just
mine.
the other one. Somewhere in one of the others, I know I saw a few comments from yours. The second set I had just very, very minor.
19th was a short meeting, wasn't as bad as the 5th.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So shall we adopt, or?
So I'm happy to
approve
approve them
those
both,
meetings
but I
then?
know that December 5th, there's some significant edits.
Take a look at them.
Okay,
Yeah.
but
Do you
we'll,
want to approve them
I'm happy to
pending
do
that?
it. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
so motion to approve meeting minutes for December 5th, December 19th, pending Brittany double-checking December 5th?
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Town administrator updates. Chris?
I have a few things for you.
you.
Marion Benaldi, town clerk, has notified me that we received a notice from Kirsty Young for her resignation from the Parks and Recreation Commission.
Say that name again?
Kirsty Young.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I will go through and we'll put together a process and a procedure. I can't remember off the top of my head if we need to do a special election or a special appointment, so we'll get the process for you. Probably do that in one of your April meetings, I would think.
Okay.
The primary election is tomorrow at the center, and it is open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. for voting. I will be there all day for Election Day, so if anybody wants to stop by or has some questions or concerns, I'm there. We had a great meeting on Friday with the Permit Planning and Building Committee. We're moving forward on next steps for the town garage, for the Council on Aging garage. And we are looking to schedule the opening of the water treatment plant, our dedication.
Oh, wow.
And we're looking to do that during Water Drinking Week, which happens to be the week of town meeting. There is Water Drinking Week, not a day, it's Water Drinking Week. And so we're hoping to do that probably towards the end of that week on Thursday or Friday, but we'll send out some dates for you and we'll have our official dedication.
How long has Water Drinking Week been around? I've never,
It was new to me, but yeah,
Well,
I suggested
okay.
we have the dedication and they said, how about Water Drinking Week? And I laughed because I thought, and I offended quite a few engineers at the meeting who take Water Drinking Week very seriously, so.
not backflip, yeah. Yeah, get the backflip
Yeah.
preventers fixed first.
So that's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay.
We've got the next meeting dates in the agenda, if people want to see those. Select board member reports. Gus?
Let's see, on the 28th of February, so last week, we had an Economic Development Vision Committee meeting, which was, I thought, a productive meeting. We're making good progress at trying to get our arms wrapped around it's the industrial extensive zone up near West Street, North Meadows Road, up in the direction of where Potpourri used to be, or, the stuff that's up in Potpourri now, stuff on West Mill, stuff on West Street. And there's an upcoming public session for that, March. It's at the end of March, and I think it might be March 27th is, I think, the date. And then also, we all had a good joint planning board, select board meeting on the other thing going on, which is the MBTA Communities Act. I will only editorially comment, there have been some posts on Facebook about the act and even from the meeting that we had. The MBTA Communities Act is not the same as the 40B Affordable House Act that required us to build affordable housing.
Right.
The MBTA Communities Act is a zoning law that requires us to zone a certain number of acres of land so that it would be possible for somebody to build denser multifamily housing. But there is no requirement for us to do that. So I'm just taking advantage of this to get the word out because people still are a little confused about that. But I also would say that, again, largely through, I think, the good work the planning board has done, I think we have a good path to compliance with the MBTA Communities Act without having to turn the town on its head and change things. So probably the worst thing that came out of it, I think, is the planning board had some of its own zoning changes that it was hoping to push this year and it's pushed those out for another year because they don't want to get everybody confused between what we do with zoning for the MBTA communities and that one. And then I did have a phone call, hour-long phone call with one of the affected neighbors of the Garrison Path project that wanted to
good.
talk about what it was we were doing, talked a little bit about the upcoming article requesting authorization for the select board to dispose of the Hinckley North property. So we had a discussion about that and the dynamics and ramifications and possibilities of that. And that's all how could I forget? This morning, the CCA committee had a meeting with Good Energy. So we have gotten the DPU approval to have our community choice aggregation electricity program to move ahead. And today's meeting was largely talking about the education materials and the scheduling of the rollout that's going to take place to make sure people know what that's all about before we introduce that program and put some people, they'll basically default into the program unless they opt out.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Eileen?
All right, I too sat in the joint MBTA meeting, and I went, well, all right, gentlemen.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you
Come
very much
back
for
anytime.
Yeah. And don't hesitate to reach out to us. I mean, I love this, and the more questions we get and the more we engage, the better off we all are. So I found that, I thought the meeting, I apologize, I was in my car, part of the whole craziness going on with some medical stuff. I was driving, so I didn't mean to not have my camera on for you guys. But I did follow up with Jim Brand to talk about Hinckley North, and I did submit a letter that I put by Christine, so they should have that, because I believe they're meeting tonight as well.
They're meeting right now, yes.
Yep. And then I've got an Affordable Housing Trust meeting coming up this Thursday, and then next week I have my monthly Medfield Cares About Prevention, so that'd be that.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, wait, one more really important thing. Gus, did you see the email we got today about the baseball parade, the softball
I
parade?
saw that I have an email that announced that, so I have not yet read it, but I
And he
will pay close
clearly
attention.
put in that we are meeting at Dale Street,
Dale Street.
the place we've been meeting the last few years.
As long as they don't move it again. It's only taken me 2 years. to
Sunday,
get Calvin.
April 28th. I said, Sean, I will be there, and I'm going to nudge my partners in crime over here, that we know where to meet.
Yes. I did note that I have the email.
All right, Pete, that's all I
Thanks
got.
for the reminder.
Okay, thank you. And just to mention that your conversation with the chair of the planning board was about the select board's desire to have an easement to the Hinckley North property from Garrison Path. I too had a conversation with a Garrison Path neighbor, as you did, Gus. I also went to that MBTA Communities Act material that was held. We had a Medfield Foundation Legacy Fund meeting, and I also had a meeting with the woman who's looking to do the EVs up at the State Hospital as part of the car show. And I actually learned a lot about car fires, and EVs actually have a lower rate of car fires than gasoline engine cars. I was supposed to have office hours last Friday, but I had somebody sit next to me at a meeting that tested positive for COVID, so I missed a party and I missed my office hours, and my office hours will be this Friday instead, and that's it for me. Anything else for our meeting, or can we adjourn?
Bill, are we good? We're good. All right, motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.